What is up, fellow humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I want to talk about Time Thieves. Just over a week and a half ago, we got Ghosts from the Past released into the TCG. In that, we had two brand new Time Thief cards that hadn't been in the TCG yet. And it gave it a nice little buff to the deck. Another nice little buff to the deck, I should say, because we've gotten a couple of things over the weeks and months and years and stuff since this deck came out. But I do want to make a video talking about where the deck is, because the deck is slightly better. There are some competitive versions that I would call definitely rogue decks, definitely not tier 1, tier 2, anything like that, but some decks that can definitely compete when you combine it with the right other archetypes. I think Raid Raptors is like the best thing in the world for Time Thieves. The Phantom Knight engine also has a place here with synergies and whatnot, but we're not going to be talking about the synergy specifically. I want to just talk about where Time Thieves are, what they have, and what I want to see in the future for this deck, because I do think it's really cool. I do think a ton of players love this archetype right out the gate when it got revealed, but Konami didn't really put too much effort into getting a super quick, good support. And so we kind of ended up feeling lackluster in some of the support we've gotten since then. And yeah, so I want to just talk about it. So obviously, first things first, we need to go through some of these. I'm so glad we got all the holo reprints for this deck, by the way. Almost the entire deck was common except for the extra deck monsters so far. So now we're finally getting some holo printings. Just make the deck look a little bit nicer. But yeah, you have Regulator. This is your one card combo. It's Rescue Cat for Time Thieves, but better. Next up is Time Thief Winder. This card's really good because he's like a Stratos, but also extends himself onto the field by detaching a material from any XZ you control. Very, very good. Time Thief Adjuster. I do want to talk about this card a little bit more in depth. Unfortunately, this card kind of is a letdown for what it could have been, and it's so close to being there. Pretty much this card can summon itself from hand when you summon a Time Thief monster, and when it's normal summoned or special summoned, you can Foolish Burial any Time Thief card from deck to the grave. Sounds pretty good, right? Wrong. The problem with this card is that Konami made her effects once per turn and only once that turn, which means you can only use one of her effects once per turn, which means you cannot use her effect to summon herself, then use the dump. You can summon her, you just can't use the dump, or you can summon her without her effect and use the dump, but then later on you wouldn't be able to summon another one, or whatever the situation may be. You only get one, and that takes her from being a phenomenal extender to like a mediocre extender. But also a decent like combo tool. So great. I mean, she becomes the next best target other than Winder to summon off of Regulator. So you go like Regulator into both, add one, dump one, and that's pretty good. But drawing her is not as good as it could have been, and that's kind of definitely a letdown in my opinion. Next up, you have Bezel Ship. This is a phenomenal card, by the way. I just think this card is well designed for the archetype. Just a one of though. You don't want to draw it. You just want to use it as kind of like a extending piece. Chrono Quarter as well, decent. It's kind of Bezel Ship, but worse, but Bezel Ship's hard once per turn, and sometimes you need both. So, yep, comes back from grave, cool. Also want to mention Temp Whaler. We don't have this card, actually. This is the only Time Thief card we don't have. It's in the OCG as a promo, I think, somewhere. This card's not that good, though. Straight up. Tributes itself to target a monster your opponent controls and banishes it till end phase. So it's a slow Farfa in which you have to remove a resource from your field to do. Pretty bad. Also, if it's in grave, you can bounce a Time Thief monster from your field to your hand, and if you do, you can special summon this card back. That effect's a little bit better, I guess, but you don't really want to be bouncing your Time Thieves back to back to hand, because usually they're in the hand or usually they're on the field to become Exceed material. So you're just losing Exceed material, and you probably can't get them back on field. So not that good in my opinion. Whatever, we'll just skip it. I don't even know if it's playable. I don't think it's playable. Startup's interesting. I did want to mention this card. This is another card that they could have made way, way better. Just summons a Time Thief from hand, fine. Wish it special summon from grave. That would have made this card amazing. Time Thief Flyback. This allows you to just attach a Time Thief card from deck to a Time Thief Exceed. So just throw like a trap onto Redoer, and that gives him his awesome protection, or his awesome disruption effect, and then you can banish it from grave to then attach a card from your opponent's grave to an Exceed. So that's Graveyard Disruption. That can also potentially give like a Redoer another trap or a spell to draw. That's actually a pretty good effect as well. There, and then Retrograde. This is a card you gotta play. It's just too good, man. It's just a spell or trap negate. Super easy to set up, super easy to search with Winder. Definitely a good card in the deck. And then get to the extra deck. Redoer is amazing. He draws cards. He dodges everything. And he has disruption if you can get a trap on him as material. Pretty good card altogether, honestly. Perpetua, she is great to pair in tandem with Redoer, even if he's been destroyed already, because she can just reborn him and then give him a material. So really, really good combination there. I actually like her a lot. And then Double Barrel. This one's like whatever. You know, this one's like, unfortunately, this one's only really good while paired with Perpetua. But the problem is, like, I never want to pair him with Perpetua over pairing Perpetua with Redoer. So the only time he's really actually good is if you have the capabilities of making all three at once, which is a lot easier said than done. So I think he's just a little lackluster. He's just not good enough to really warrant like playing, like summoning it instead of like these two paired together. So yeah, it's fine though. It's a fine card. I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna bend over backwards for it. But that's everything we have so far for the Time Thieves. The main thing I feel like this deck is missing is, one, you could argue an extender, but I think, like, I don't know, Adjuster's fine, Winder summons itself, which is fine, and you have the amazing starter that is Regulator, which brings me to where I really want to see the deck go. I think the first and foremost thing we absolutely, unequivocally must see for this archetype is some kind of consistency spell. I don't care what it is, hopefully not draw power, because, like, in archetype, draw cards usually mean that you have to, like, reveal the Time Thief to draw 2 cards, meh, which is fine. But if you're only playing 10 Time Thieves, that's a decent number, but, like, you are going to definitely draw that card and it be completely dead sometimes, so just keep that in mind. What I really want to see is either a Rhoda card or a emergency teleport type card, one or the other. I think teleport's obviously just better because that does things like just summon Winder to get a search, just summon Adjuster to get a dump, right? She's not summoned off her own effects, so she can use her effect to dump. That's not half bad. Or you could just summon out Regulator. This is our 1-card combo, and this would be without normal summoning, putting Regulator on the field. That applies a ton of pressure on your opponent because your opponent knows this is a must negate card. So whether you're playing into a board or going first and your opponent has 1 hand trap, you activate this and your opponent gammas it. I mean, you haven't used your normal summon. Now, you can't summon another Regulator and use its effect because it's a use once per turn effect. But still, I think a lot of players can agree that, like, having to hand trap a good combo deck prior to normal summon feels really, really bad a lot of the time. So I really, really like that idea, but I would not cry at a Rhoda, right? Like, a Rhoda would just make Regulator much more consistent. The problem with Regulator, he's insanely strong. He is hand trap weak, right? Pretty weak to hand traps and disruption in general. But you only have 3 copies of him, and your only way to search him is with Winder, which means you'd have monsters on the field, which means you can't use Regulator once you search him. So rough, right? So that would just add 3 straight more copies of him, adding a ton of consistency to your deck. On top of that, even if you're not wanting him, you just get access to your extenders better. Make stuff like Winder, maybe not even potentially a must play 3 of, maybe it's a 2 of because it's a little more searchable. Opens up slots, like other slots in the deck. Maybe you just need Adjuster because you need that summon from hand, right? You're usually not going to be searching these guys, but who knows? And I'm just talking about if we have a Rhoda that searches only the monsters. If we had a card that searches the spells and traps, you could also add Startup as an extendable card, right? Probably, I mean, it's usually just a 1 of index anyway, but makes it just even that more accessible for specific hands where maybe you got your board, your opponent already disrupted you, but you just have a Regulator sitting in hand, and if you can just start up that Regulator on the field, you've got a chance to play. As well as it could search Flyback and Retrograde. If you can already do combos, it means you can use Winder to search Retrograde and then use this card to search Flyback. That way you get both. You guarantee a trap on Redoer, you have a spell and trap negation, and whatever else you want to do, right? So I like that idea a lot. Either or, obviously, like, there are pluses and minuses to both, but I'm not going to complain at either. There, as far as extract monsters go, I don't really think the deck's missing much, right? Like, this deck has literally 0 restrictions in the entire archetype. Nothing restricts you whatsoever. So you can make generic rank 4s because you access to Tornado Dragon. So there's your back row removal. You know what I mean? Zeus is still a thing. So Zeus is a card that this deck can probably take advantage of fairly reliably. Just trying to think, like, I really don't think this deck is missing much outside of one awesome consistency spell. Whether it's a Rhoda, whether it's an emergency teleport, that is the one thing I want. And that's really what I wanted to reiterate in this video, is like, that is it. Because I think if they get that, I think this deck can immediately be played as like a pure rogue deck. Forget combining it with these crazy combo strategies, you know, Raid Raptors and Phantom Knights. By the way, I'm going to have a deck profile later this week with a crazy combo deck with all three combined. Shout out to that. Stay tuned. But I think this deck can actually play fairly consistently. You'd much more consistently get to your regulator. You'd be able to extend easier with Winder and Adjuster. I think the deck just comes together more, and that's what the deck is missing. That core consistency card that gives you access to anything at any moment. Even if it's just monsters, that monster could be Winder, and Winder searches anything else in the archetype, so that works. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming. This is kind of just a dumb video. I just wanted to mention that. I love talking about it. I honestly just wanted to start like a conversation with you guys as well. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you want to see for Time Thieves? I know we just got support, so maybe this video is moot point. We might not get and see another Time Thief card for 3 years. Who knows? I hope that's not the case, knock on wood. But, you know, I think the deck got it. Adjuster's a nice card for the deck, but I still feel like it's missing that one crucial, integral, in-archetype card that really pulls it all together. And I can't wait to see if or when we ever get that card. So let me know again in the comment section down below, what do you want to see for Time Thieves? If you could give them one or even a couple cards, so let me know in the comment section down below what you'd want to see from those. But I'm gonna get the hell out of here. I've been rambling enough about Time Thieves in this video. Thank you so much. Again, stay tuned for the deck profile coming later this week. I'm waiting on one package in the mail. Story of my life. But once I get it, the deck profile is all yours. So yeah, catch me then. Thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and peace.